What was his living situation at the time that he ended up catching this case that ended up in a murder charge? Like, who was he staying with in Texas at that time?
I believe he was staying with his manager at that time.
Oh, okay. Who, Ezra?
Ezra, but he's not his manager now.
Okay.
And he was living from house to house with friends and Pimpy, and it's another friend that he was with that's from Texas.
Right.
Forgot his name, but yeah, he was back and forth between them homes because he had run away too, you know what I'm saying? Kayla tried to provide a better situation because she was a big sister, but he was out there already.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when you read about the details of how that robbery turned murder happened, it's just like, it sounds so childish when you're reading about it, because they show up at the house. They think that it's just going to be one dude. It's a bunch of dudes. And they think that there's going to be a bunch of money or a bunch of shit that they would want to steal, and it ends up being like almost nothing there. Right. So it's like when you're reading about it, it really sounds like this is the kind of, robbery that, a 16, 17-year-old kid would put together with, and just the fact that he had like 2 of his friends involved, plus a bunch of girls. It's like anybody who knows anything about committing crimes, you're not supposed to just involve a shitload of different people. That's the number one way you're going to get caught. Right. But that ended up obviously being kind of the primary thing that sent his life into turmoil. Do you remember when you first heard about it? Because you probably heard about that before the song came out, right?
I did. I heard about that. I was still in the Army, and I think I had just got home from work, and I was I think it flashed, because I lived in Texas, so it flashed across the screen, and my heart dropped, and I was like, that's my nephew, but I can't really keen in on that, because it's like, this is a real situation unfolding, and I want to get to his mom to figure out what is happening and how can we assist. So his first court date, I was there. So I don't know if you see the picture circulating when it was a video. He was in a jail cell, and his sister and his brother, they was talking to him face to face. That was me. I was there from the first court date until the current situation, because I wanted to put hands on, because we couldn't find my sister. So I wanted to be there. I was there with Ezra. So if you know Ezra, he'll tell you, his uncle tapped in with us. But my nephew, he was so of a leader, so he had his team really, really, really tight. Still to this day. So yeah, me and his mom, we still, I make sure that, he's safe and he's mental, but his mom talks to him every day. His sister talks to him every day, but he has his team really tight, his manager and his whole productivity and everything he's got going on anticipation of whatever's going to happen.
Just as a sidebar, it sounds like you have some complicated feelings about your time serving our country.
Sometimes I do, because I beat myself up for juggling serving my country or mentoring my nephew, right? So I did a lot of good things for my country, and I did a lot for myself, and I'm proud of myself. But sometimes I go back in a closed room and I deal with my anxiety or my PTSD from the Army, and I think about my nephew, and I'm like, how? Because I'm a mentor now, I'm a motivational speaker. I speak to kids, and one of the bigger reasons why is because I felt like I didn't give him that attention he needed. Right?
But in a sense, did the Army, did that kind of save you from the streets?
The Army saved me. Yeah. It took me away from one war. It took me to another. But at the end of the day, I got, I get benefits for this war. I'm retired for the rest of my life. So I'm happy, and I'm happy them conversations happened between my father and my uncles and everybody that was pushing me. Hey, you know what? Don't stay here and gangbang, JR. Go to the Army. And when I got out the Army, I mean, of course, you saw me a few times. I transitioned from 2017 to a bodyguard and being a lot of A-list celebrities bodyguards and protecting them, because I like selfless service. So I did that for a while, especially for a lot of people,
Do you feel like TK was the kind of kid who would have benefited from serving his country, or do you feel like he was such a rebel spirit that he wouldn't have been able to fall in line like you have to live that kind of life?
I think he would have been a good soldier, because he likes the contact, he likes the tactical stuff. He's very intelligent, he's very smart, he's very articulate. I don't know what people or what social media think of him, but he's a smart kid. If he was able to do that at 14, 15, imagine now. Imagine. So if you take that time capsule away and that never happened, how far would he be right now in the music industry? He came out with the Playboy Cardi's, the XXXTentacion. He was the leader of that SoundCloud. So imagine now what he'll be probably, and I mean, this, like I said, there's no hit to anybody else, but he'll probably be leading a young school like NBA YoungBoy, probably way above that situation. Lil Durk, probably with young Lil Baby, all them. He'll be up there with them. You know what I'm saying? Because I saw his talent. I hear his music. I hear his unreleased. I talk to him. He reads. He's getting into a mode of more maturity. So it's like, I just, I pray for him every day, and I pray for his mentor, and I pray for my sister. So, one day they can reunite.
So then he's on the run for 3 months.
Yeah.
He makes his way to Jersey. He's being relatively flagrant throughout that time, kind of just going shopping and just ending up on people's social media and stuff. And I guess the marshals are like after him the whole time. And then during this time period, he ends up catching this other murder case, which hasn't even gone to trial yet, right?
Yeah, they go on to trial.
And so the crazy thing about that too is that the first murder case that he's already been given 55 years for, he didn't pull the trigger in that situation, right? He just helped to plan the robbery.
He was just there. He was a minor there. He was influence heavy. We all know that he didn't pull that trigger. So I think the guy who did got 20 years, and then my nephew got 55 because I think it was the mockery of the judicial system.
Right.
The song he made, and I remember what the judge told him when I was there when he first got here. So it's like I knew why that judge, he felt that way because Texas is hard on their criminals, especially African American. So I believe if that stuff happened in California, he would have been out already. But in Texas, it's different.
That's what I was thinking watching this documentary about it, because I'm like seeing people get 40 years just for being there and shit. And especially like, okay, the guy who pulls the trigger gets 20 years.
Yeah.
He gets 50 years. I'm not surprised that he got a harsh sentence as a result of the song and the fact that this was a whole social media spectacle. But the fact that he got 2.5 times as much as the guy who pulled the trigger is kind of shocking.
And nobody's spreading a light on that. And that's what I've been saying from the beginning because he was 14, 15 going in.
Right.
He went to prison, right? And this is by no means and this is for social media, people that want to beat me up. This is no means to go that way, but you locked him up with grown men. So now we challenging his mental health. What happened to my nephew in there? What did he go through? What is his experiences? We're not talking about that, right? So if you did that, now you times that, he been in there 7 years, right? So it's like, what are we doing? Are y'all sitting on it to it rot? What are we talking about? Because this is a human being in a situation where he was there, right? But if he didn't pull the trigger and y'all know that, can we figure this other equation out?
And there was a girl who was there who got 10 years probation.
Right, she was there too.
And she might not have been as instrumental in planning it or some shit like that, but she was basically had like a similar role to what he did. And she got
10
really
years probation.
Slap on the wrist in comparison to 50 years.
Right. So, we all know that's unfair. And I think that right now, even going into this year and next year, he should already have time served. It'll be 8-9 years, right? All right, he's about to be 23 years old, in June. He's a Gemini, so I don't know nearly as much as he does about his own case, but on the outside looking in as his uncle, that's not fair at all.